And now, coming live from Blog Talk Radio, it's Wrestling365. You can call into the show at 347-327-9577 and come visit us at 365sportsnetwork.com for a chat with the host during the show. And now, here are your hosts for tonight's show, Alfonso Merriman and Christopher Dunphy.
That's right, guys. I hope you did hear that right. That is Alfonso Merriman with Christopher Dunphy for the first time in over, 3 years now, is it, Chris?
Something like that.
Something like that, yeah. That's right. I still can't believe we're doing this today. It's been so long, man. How's it been? How's it been hanging?
Same old. Nothing new.
Nothing new, all right. Well, I want to thank you for... That's good. I want to thank you for joining the show today. We do have a lot of good topics tonight for you. We're talking about the Hall of Fame. We're talking about WrestleMania, of course. We're going to break down the pay-per-view versus the WWE Network a little bit later on. We got a great interview lined up with the Indie Star. And I'm going to bosh. I can't. I'm going to have to tell her ask her how to say her name. It's Gyo Nakamura, and it's going to come out wrong each time until she's on the show.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, it's still going to come out wrong. A year from now, it's still going to come out wrong.
I want to thank you, Chris, so much for joining, man. It's like a reunion after all these years. It's pretty cool that we're going to do this tonight, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. It has been a while. We used to have a blast doing this show a couple of years ago, but yeah, well, we're back tonight. Let's get it going.
All right, sounds good. Before we get into the actual topics itself, I wanted to let you guys know. Chris and I used to do Force of Wrestling Radio back in the day, and we had a great time for years. And we want to thank you all for our. We had some great following back then. We want to thank you very much for that. But I did want to kind of introduce everyone to Chris. And I know you're not too fond of TNA these days. You were never really fond of TNA. I always used to force you to kind of watch it back then.
No, the only reason I watched TNA was for Velvet Sky and the rest of the beautiful people. Other than that, I really had no desire to watch it.
well, now they're back.
But as soon as Angelina Love turned into a zombie, I think that was enough for me. So I'm out after that, and really haven't watched it since. Outside of MVP's return promo. Because everybody knows how much I loved MVP. So.
And I was able to meet him down here in Miami. He was pretty cool, but I don't know. I think some of his stuff is faulty fat. I kind of missed him coming out to his own theme song on Monday Night Raw, to be quite honest.
That was one superstar that WWE definitely dropped the ball with, if we're going to get into that. But, it looks like everything's working out for him in TNA. He seems to have a premium spot so far on the roster, and so we'll see how everything works out for MVP and TNA.
So, obviously, I wanted to ask you, TNA versus WWE, we all know who's winning. It is World Wrestling Entertainment. Back in the day, you and I were very critical of the product. And I know that everyone used to give us hell about it. I know you remember that. We used to beat down on everything. There was a point that we didn't even want to watch it. And as a matter of fact, we started losing a little bit of the love for wrestling. I don't know if it was that we're doing wrestling 24 hours a day back then. But even when Sheamus, now I kind of like Sheamus. Back then you and me hated him. Now I'm like, I missed him when he was injured last time, And how do you feel about the product today compared to 3 years ago?
Well, if you look at wrestling 3 years ago, you had Randy Orton, John Cena, and Edge in the main event every damn Monday night, sprinkling a little bit of the Big Show, and that was pretty much a rerun every week for about 3 years. And then you had this guy Sheamus coming up who didn't prove anything, wasn't proven in the ring yet. Still awful on the mic. Oh my God, do my ears bleed when he grabs the microphone. Like, Sheamus is a guy that would definitely benefit from a Paul Heyman. If they would turn Sheamus back into his badass heel character and have somebody like a Paul Heyman talking for him, great, awesome, it would work outstanding. But this guy coming out being like, you think John Cena's corny? Listen to a Sheamus promo. And then the delivery on top of it is just as bad as the stuff he's saying. So whoever the hell is writing his promos needs to be fired immediately. So he's one of those guys that drastically needs a mouthpiece. But anyway, him first coming up, talking, not proving himself in the ring, it was just the one superstar that we were dying out for WWE to push a new superstar at the time. Just dying. They had all this good talent. We're like, well, are they going to start pushing one of these guys? When's one of these guys going to get an opportunity? And then out of all the guys they picked, they just had to pick Sheamus, didn't they, Al? The one that me and you just despised.
Yeah, I remember that. I was like, are you kidding me?
I swear to God, they were listening to our radio show, and they decided to slap us in the face. That's exactly what that was.
That is. I mean, that's funny. I mean, but now compared it back to. Oh Jesus! He had to do it. I was giving everyone contact. Maybe we should play this during the show. I didn't think we were gonna do it. All right, Mr. Audio Man. I was giving everyone crap that we had to play that show. I didn't think we that. This is wicked bad. Everyone's tripping out that we're reunited again. All right, so compare back in the day. Now, how do you feel World Wrestling Entertainment has evolved since we did our show? And I think that's a good good way to start it. How do you think it's evolved, and are you liking the product now compared to before?
I just think they're starting to give a lot more focus to the in-ring work. I mean, if you look at how much time matches with the Shield have gotten, those six-man tag matches, they've been getting at least a solid 10 minutes, 30 minutes, depending on their opponents on television, which has been absolutely spectacular to watch. On top of that, you always see what Daniel Bryan is capable of delivering on a weekly basis. I mean, you go back, so far this year, I mean, the quality of matches, and it's not even WrestleMania yet, has been phenomenal. Between the Shield versus the Wyatt family, Daniel Bryan versus Bray Wyatt, I mean, even on WWE NXT, if you watch guys like Sami Zayn and Antonio Cesaro go to battle, like, just the in-ring product this year has just been phenomenal. If they can continue to focus on that and capitalize on it, instead of the same old John Cena versus Randy Orton, Cena's PG and corny, Orton's just boring, and it's the same thing every single week. Now you see a guy like Daniel Bryan who's finally getting an opportunity to show what he's got, even though a lot of fans are still upset about how he's being booked right now. It looks like they're setting everything up to fix that at WrestleMania, hopefully. And then, I mean, you look at guys like the Wyatt family and the Shield who have just done spectacular. Roman Reigns' performance in the Royal Rumble. Roman Reigns has grown a lot over the last year. You look at a guy like Luke Harper, who was just supposed to be some guy in the Wyatt family. All of a sudden, he's getting promo and mic time, and he's taking advantage of every single bit of it. Look at his match with John Cena on Monday Night Raw. I mean, for a guy that big, that can display that much athleticism, and can have a good match with somebody like John Cena. I mean, in his first big opportunity, I mean, props to Luke Harper. Who the hell expected that big scary guy to come do a suicide dive outside of the ring? I mean, like,
I was like, holy crap, look at this giant, man. That was awesome.
And what a lot of people don't realize about Luke Harper is that he was Brody Lee back on the independent scene. I did an article about him that I'm getting ready to publish on Bleacher Report here soon. I mean, the dude came, he was trained by a few guys out in New York. One of them was Tony Mamaluke, the former ECW superstar. And, I mean, he's just been working the independent scene. I mean, he's worked against guys like Daniel Bryan, guys like Antonio Cesaro, all these guys that are amazing in-ring talents. He's got an opportunity to work with some of these guys. Dean Ambrose, another example, down in Dragon Gate USA, Shakira, Evolve, and all this stuff. So he has the talent to perform in the ring, which a lot of people didn't know, but he's finally got the opportunity to show that in the Wyatt's matches versus the Shield and his one-on-one encounters with John Cena over the last few weeks. Because originally when the Wyatts came in, it was pretty much just basic squash matches where they were beating the hell out of tons of funk and stuff like that on a weekly basis. Now that you actually get to see what these guys are capable of, it's very exciting. And you look at, like I mentioned, Antonio Cesaro, Jack Swagger, the Uso twins. I mean, they're finally, after years of begging to give them an opportunity, they finally got this opportunity, and they're running with it. I mean, the Rhodes brothers, they did phenomenal work as a tag team. I mean, the tag team division leaps and bounds better than wherever it's been. The only real big complaint I have with the product today is the same thing I had with the product 3 years ago, and that is what the hell is going on with the mid-card championship titles. Pretty much you give the Intercontinental Championship to a guy like Big E Langston, and he becomes a jobber to the world champion. Like, they don't, and back in the day, you could have the excuse, oh, well, we don't have the time for this, which, understandable, you only got 2 hours of programming every week. Between Monday Night Raw, which is 3 hours, WWE Main Event, which is an hour, and SmackDown, which is 2 hours, that's 5 hours of programming. And you're going to tell me instead of having matches like Fandango versus the Great Khali, you can't sprinkle in an IC title feud in there.
That was the topic we had last week. Like, it would be great to finally see them unite these championships, the United States title and IC, get rid of the U.S. title, and make it to where, like, man, if you were the IC champion, they used to build that as the next world heavyweight champion, and that is still my frustration. I'm glad they got the world title as one. They needed that. I think the next step is to...
You there? Hello?
You're there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. I don't know.
What's just happening?
I don't know. I was talking away. I know Blog Talk Radio is always that
nice money.
Blog Talk Radio. Yeah, they always make fun of us. They cut our microphones every once in a while.
Yeah, man.
All right, but back to what I was...
Speaking of the IC title, I don't know if you read the article with Cody Rhodes last week promoting the WrestleMania and everything. He talked about the Intercontinental Championship, about when he was the champion and brought back the old school IC title, that he was actually pissing creative off because he was going in there every day nagging and bugging them like, look, this IC title was a big part of a lot of our childhood, and you guys need to start promoting this and making this better. You look at Monday Night Raw with Dean Ambrose, they were talking about, he's been champion for almost a year, and JBL's like, of course he's been champion for a year. He hasn't defended the damn thing since he got it. So, they know, obviously, if they're feeding these lines to JBL, it just makes them look bad.
They even cut that promo, the Shield backstage too, saying that he hasn't wrestled anybody, so what does it matter? I think it'll be great. I think they're dropping the ball there for sure. But for overall aspect, I think it really has gotten better. The product itself, it's watchable, and I'm really happy. And I made this point last week that John Cena is not wrestling for a title at WrestleMania. How good is that? He has a good, strong match, and it's not for the championship belt of any kind, which is awesome. And it's kind of shocking at the same time, isn't it? It's about time.
Yeah, definitely. And I know a lot of people's been crapping on the whole John Cena versus Bray Wyatt thing, which I never really understood. You get the arguments where everybody's like, it should have been the Wyatts versus the Shield at WrestleMania. They should have held off for that. Well, absolutely. I agree to an extent. I would have loved to have seen the Wyatts versus the Shield at WrestleMania. That would have probably, blew everybody away just like it did at the Elimination Chamber. But to me, I think Bray Wyatt, this does more for Bray Wyatt to be in a feud with John Cena than it would for the Wyatts facing off against the Shield. I just think this does more to elevate Bray. For him to be in a WrestleMania match versus pretty much the face of the company at the biggest show of the year. I mean, win, lose, or draw, it can do nothing but elevate Bray Wyatt and show that he's a main event player in World Wrestling Entertainment.
Well, speaking of the stables, I wanted to get into that right now. We have the Wyatt family and the Shield, and you're talking about elevate Bray Wyatt versus John Cena, which is great. But what happens to the Shield now? They just turned babyface. Roman Reigns is supposed to get this big push. Are you alive there?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, Roman Reigns is supposed to get this big push, but now it's because the New Age Outlaws told his buddy Triple H, "Hey, I want to do a program with the Shield." That's what's coming off of these news reports. Now it's going to be the Shield versus Kane and the New Age Outlaws. What does that do to them? I feel like that's. I like the New Age Outlaws. They've been doing great work, but I kind of feel bad for the Shield that they're not in something a little bit more meaningful at WrestleMania, and I'm scared that this is going to they're going to descend from here, and I think that this might not be the best option for the Shield. What do you feel about them turning face the way they did on SmackDown when the New Age Outlaws attacked them with Kane? You think this is a bad thing for them? I mean, where do you see the Shield going after WrestleMania?
See, I can go back and forth on this one. A part of me would have liked to have seen that triple threat at WrestleMania for the United States Championship between all three members and see them go on and do their own thing. But the one thing I've absolutely hated about WWE over the last decade or so is that the fact that they break these tag teams and stables up before they really get going. And with the Shield, I mean, I still think there's still life in the Shield, that they don't have to break them up right away. The Shield act is beginning to grow stale for one reason, and that's WWE's booking. If you look at all the great stables and factions over time, the great thing about it, take the Four Horsemen, for example. Every single one of those guys had a feud going on. If you look at, somebody would be challenging a Ric Flair for the world title. Somebody would be challenging a Barry Windham for the U.S. title. Somebody would be challenging Billy Blanchard and Arn Anderson for the tag team titles.
Exactly.
On top of them, you don't really have that with the Shield. You had it a little bit when Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins captured the tag titles and Ambrose won the U.S. title. I was stoked. I was like, okay, here we go. They're going to start doing this. It just makes it more entertaining when they each individually have something going on top of staying a unit, which they,
so would you say,
for whatever reason, haven't done it. Which,
would you say,
that's one reason.
Would you say, Chris, they dropped? I say this, they dropped the ball there because I thought that's what we were going to get, them feuding, defending the titles, have their own storylines, but it kind of never really happened. It felt like the titles were props to them.
And it was just a way to make them look cool, the Shield got all the titles, but they're not going to do anything with it. Also, that was why I was really stoked when Dean Ambrose won the U.S. title. I was like, they don't have, the way they're pushing the Shield right now, don't look like they have a choice but to utilize the U.S. title. Boy, was I wrong. It's been as irrelevant as ever because you've had Dean Ambrose defeat Kofi Kingston for it. I think they've had one or two rematches, and the only other person I can remember him defending the title against is Mark Henry. So, and that was in recent episodes of Monday Night Raw. But like I said, there's no reason you couldn't have had a Dean Ambrose feud with somebody. Have individual feuds outside of, instead of just straight unit feuds all the time. It's always a six-man tag type thing with the Shield. They never really got a chance. They can branch out and do their own thing singles-wise, but still remain together as a unit, and it can still work.
And just going back to the Four Horsemen, even the modern Four Horsemen with Steve Mongo McMichael and Dean Malenko and Ric Flair and Arn Anderson, they used to have their own feuds. Then Jeff Jarrett was involved in WCW, and maybe one of them came out, or they had their ladies that came out, and they were all in their own programs, but they would cut a promo together and show, hey, we are the best, and no one's going to touch us, and they wouldn't have to do 4-on-4s, 5-on-5s. They would go do their thing, and it made it more entertaining. And I thought that's what we were gonna get, which is, it is sad, but I'll take it for what it. I mean, hopefully they could change it to where the United States and IC title means something again, and I really do think they dropped the ball there. And going back to the stables, what do you think stables mean to this business? I know that it could go either way, right? So for some people, it's the best thing that could happen to them. For other people, it's the worst. I mean, look at it. Nexus. I mean, half of them are doing stuff. The other half are really not doing much. When it comes to stables in general, what are your feelings towards them? Are you always pro stables, or, I mean, do you think there's substance behind always having a stable? Does wrestling need stables to be entertaining at the end of the day?
Wrestling benefits from stables. The most beneficial thing from a stable is that it spins out superstars. Like, you look at a group like, let's say, the Nation of Domination. You had a guy like The Rock, branch out from that, go on and do his own great thing. Triple H from D-Generation X. Little things like that. I mean, you don't necessarily need a stable, but it can help elevate somebody. Let's say you have a new guy in. I mean, look at Randy Orton and Batista. Look at the rub they got from being with Triple H and Ric Flair during Evolution. I mean, it gives somebody instant credibility to be matched up with somebody like that. It can also help hide their flaws, whether it be on the mic or inside the ring. So, I mean, to me, all it can do is benefit people. I mean, like I said, you got the examples over the years, guys like The Rock, Triple H, Batista, Randy Orton. Like I said, it just helps mask if they're, not so great inside the ring. Just like a guy like Roman Reigns, who wasn't the most gifted in-ring talent to begin with, but since he's had time to grow and hasn't been able to, be asked to have all these matches by himself and has been involved in all these six-man tag matches, it's really given him an opportunity to learn and grow without rushing right into everything. So, I mean, like I said, and then maybe if a guy's not as good on the mic, you can hand it to another member of the stable and he'll do the talking for him. So, I mean, that's why I think, it's definitely a benefit to have stables and factions in professional wrestling. Unless
and
it's
speaking of, I still can't believe they lasted so long. That was a shock to me. And speaking of people that we're talking about the stables and people that need help on the microphone, staying relevant to that, Batista, man, it is the worst thing to see this man on the microphone. Do you agree or not? Doesn't he need like a Paul Heyman or a freaking mouthpiece? Because every Monday night on Raw, I mute my television because I can't hear it anymore. It's difficult to hear this man on the microphone.
Well, I mean, there's three people that just, if I was Kevin Dunn, I would shut off Orton's mic, Batista's mic, and Sheamus's mic every single week on Monday Night Raw. Because, oh my God, is it brutal. Oh, man. Like, you turn on Monday Night Raw on Monday. You're 2 weeks from WrestleMania, and you're trying to sell us on WrestleMania. You turn on the TV, and Randy Orton and Batista are in the ring having a promo with Stephanie McMahon. Are you kidding me? You know how many people turn into that? That's what you open up Raw with, trying to build WrestleMania? It felt so flat. I was so glad I had a DVR so I could fast forward that. Like, that's how you sell WrestleMania, is give a mic to Batista and Randy Orton and let them pout and cry and screw up lines for 15 minutes. Like,
what was the best part of that? I don't know if you saw it, Chris, but it was all social media. When Stephanie McMahon slapped Batista, his pants ripped. I don't know if you saw it, right on the. Oh man, that's the best part of the show right there. I lost it. That was hilarious.
I'm still wondering if that was a rib or not, because people have been talking about his skinny jeans since he returned to my hometown of Dayton, Ohio, at that Monday Night Raw event I went to. But
I wanted to talk about that. You just did a Mick Foley plug there, by the way. And by the way, how lucky are you to be sitting where you were sitting? I got mugshots of you on my phone still. when does John Cena go in the crowd? This man is shaking John Cena's hand. It was like you were part of the show because I know who you are, you and your brother. So I thought that was pretty badass. You guys got really lucky, man. How was that experience for you at that Raw?
Well, the seats, looking at the arena map before we go up there, we're like, oh, these are going to be, pretty good seats. And then we're walking down, and we keep walking, keep getting lower and lower. And I'm like, oh, my God, dude, we are right here. So we just keep going, and we sit down in our seats, and we're like, oh, my God, this is going to be an amazing night. Next thing you know, here comes security. And they're like, just letting you guys know, the Shield's walking down through here tonight.
That's awesome,
we're
man.
like, oh, jackpot. And the ironic thing is, earlier in the night, I was at a different pair of doors just walking around outside the arena, and I was at a pair of doors where John Cena was doing a walkthrough of what he was doing that night and showed him going through that curtain and everything. And little to my knowledge, come to find out he was doing a walkthrough because he was coming through the crowd later that night, exactly where I was sitting. And here comes Cena walking down, and I'm like, oh, no way, no way. Got to shake his hand, and then all of a sudden my iPhone blows up. Dude, you just closed Monday Night Raw. You shook John Cena's hand. Ooh, like, you got to see it on the DVR when you get home. You closed Raw. And I was like, hell yeah. So,
that was funny.
It was definitely there was only one bad thing about that night. I had been dying to see the Wyatt's entrance live, and I didn't get that. I got the corny lights go out, lights come back on, and they're in the ring.
Oh yeah, I remember you texted me live like, oh, I want to. Yeah. I saw when I was at Hell in a Cell. I saw it. It's pretty badass. It's cool. It sucks that you couldn't see them come out. The only complaint I have, and everyone gives me crap about it, is that the Lancer they come out with is battery operated. I'm like, dude, come on, you could come out with. You guys have an Inferno match. I think Bray Wyatt could handle a freaking live flame canister. You know what I mean? That kills me each time. But it's just really that's me. I know, but it's I know the kid for the kids it's amazing.
For the old Brooklyn Lantern.
What? What was that? What did John just say?
I said free publicity for the old Brooklyn Lantern. I know you've seen the infomercial for it.
Oh, okay. I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. Brooklyn, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Brooklyn Lantern. It's like an infomercial thing. Dunphy, I know you've seen it.
Wah, wah, wah.
Wah, wah. Play a little that damn thing from Farouk there. Hold on. Damn. Thank you. Oh, John, you killed. I don't know what you're talking about. I think John needs to, poor John, and I think Chris again. He works 17 hours straight from 9:45. I would have quit my job if that was the case. You got to be out of your mind to be able to work those many hours. But all right, so moving forward, we do have, and I'm gonna botch it, and she's gonna kill me too. Kikyo Nakamura. Nakamura, right? So I'm gonna ask her how to pronounce that when she gets on. Yeah, we have her coming up soon. I wanted to get another discussion in, hopefully, and if not, we'll continue after the interview when she calls in. But the WWE Hall of Fame, and I got this topic from my buddy Evan Ginsberg. He's been a really great, giving me some great advice. It's just been a friend to me and to the show. So I thought this would be a great topic for us. And it's about the WWE Hall of Fame itself. And, this year we have a pretty decent class. I mean, we have Jake the Snake Roberts, Razor Ramon, a.k.a. Scott Hall, The Ultimate Warrior. What the hell did I just say? My Spanish just came out there. The Ultimate Warrior, Carlos Colon, Lita, and Mr. T. and Paul Bearer. It's a nice class, solid class. But that being said, and this is where I'm going to create a little bit of
I honestly, you said solid. I think this is the best class they've had. If you want
that's what I'm saying. It's pretty damn.
From top to bottom, I think this is a pretty damn good class. I mean, I'm a little biased because my homie, the Ultimate Warrior, finally got his much, deserved induction. But to me, I mean, Got one of the greatest managers of all time in Paul Bearer. Got probably, in my opinion, the best diva of all time, Lita. I mean, you got Mr. T, who is probably one of the best celebrities WWE's ever utilized at WrestleMania. It's way better than some of the celebrities they have inducted that really didn't even have anything to really do with WrestleMania, but just
and that's
there
where I
and
wanted
the
to
damn paycheck. And then, I mean, Razor Ramon's, of course, you know, how can you go wrong with Razor Ramon, one of the greatest Intercontinental champions of all time? So, I mean, pretty good class for the most part.
And that being said, this is what I wanted to get into, right? So, yeah, they're going to be in the Hall of Fame, but they're going to be accompanied by people that include Drew Carey, Donald Trump, and I know Mike Tyson was relevant, but he came in at the end of the day to cash a paycheck, right? I mean, he was big in the Attitude Era. He did his thing, and he was on the news, and he came in just like Floyd Money Mayweather. I don't want to see him in the Hall of Fame. I'm sorry. When the Hall of Fame features guys like this, and it doesn't have yet Macho Man Randy Savage, it doesn't have Lou Thesz, it doesn't have the Fabulous Freebirds, Terry Funk, Diesel, Kevin Nash, you know, there's so many great wrestlers that could take all these people's places. Do you think the Hall of Fame is saturated when it comes to the WWE Hall of Fame itself? I feel that it is. I mean,
it is, but it isn't at the same. The way I look at it is that you can't, if you induct all, like, I'm trying to think of the best way to put this. Let's say you put the best class in every single year. Eventually, you're going to run out. And you're going to have guys like the Brooklyn Brawler be a headliner into the Hall of Fame. Like, let's say, just think of the Warrior,
what do you want him better than?
You don't
what
put
do you want him
every
better than
headliner
freaking Drew
in
Carey,
the same year. I mean, the way I look at it is, I get where they're coming from. If you put the Macho Man in, like, a guy like the Macho Man, they're going to want Macho Man to be that headline guy, like the Ultimate Warrior, like Shawn Michaels. That Macho Man's getting in. Randy Savage will be in the Hall of Fame, but he's going to be a headline guy for the Hall of Fame. And, I mean, this might sound terrible, but now that he's already passed away, there's really not a rush for him to get in there because he's not going to be able to make a speech or anything anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
They can, put him in, whatever. So, like I said, like I think they need to, like, split it up, look with the 2-year guy. I think they want to do, like, 1 or 2 lesser-known guys, but meant a lot to the business, like a Carlos Colon or like how they inducted Abdullah the Butcher, guys like that appeal internationally. Then you want to get the guy in there that's more recent, like Alita for the Divas. Then you want to get guys who weren't, like, the best ever, but they were pretty damn good, like a Razor Ramon. Then you got a guy like the Ultimate Warrior who's going to be your number 1 guy, who is just the name value on that.
And you know what? I agree with Chris. I agree with all your points, but my point is, do we need to have guys like Drew Carey and Donald Trump and Mike Tyson and maybe Floyd Money Mayweather? Do we need those guys in our Wrestling Hall of Fame? Because this is the main Hall of Fame we have.
The thing is, they're going in as they have like a celebrity wing for people that made a big impact. Like, to me, Money Mayweather, I'll vouch for him because I think for what he did, for being that guy's got so much money out. It's not even real. Mm-hmm. He put over like $12 million on your Miami Heat to win the finals last year. Like, the guy just bet, like, that's like $20 million on the Super Bowl and stuff like that. Like, the guy's got so much money. He doesn't have to do anything. And he loves the business so much that he took that much time out to, work a match with the Big Show. I thought Mayweather surprised the hell out of me. I mean, he took some bumps. He did a great job, I thought, with the Big Show. A guy like Lawrence Taylor, who had that match with Bam Bam Bigelow that headlined WrestleMania. You look at, Mr. T, who had his WrestleMania main event in WrestleMania 1, and then his boxing match with, like a guy like that. Yeah, a guy like Drew Carey. No, Drew Carey, what the hell did he do? He showed up. I mean, at least guys like Lawrence Taylor and Mr. T and Money Mayweather, actually got in the ring and performed and was a spectacle of WrestleMania, and not just guys that just showed up like, hey, I'm Drew Carey, I just, collected $15 million from WWE, have a good time. Like, to me, I don't think they're justified to be in it, but if you're going to have a celebrity wing, I don't mind guys like a Mr. Key or Lawrence Taylor or a Money Mayweather who actually contributed inside the ring and was one of the main selling points of the card. I don't see any reason why they shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame.
All right, sounds good. And that being said, we're going to go ahead and shift gears here. We got, and I hate that I'm going to botch the name again, and she's going to have to tell me how to say it now. But Kyoko Nakamura, she's on the line. Let me go ahead and put her through, and Chris will be right back with you here shortly. How's it going? Thank you for joining the show, and please get the name right for me. How are you?
I was doing fine until you just completely and utterly ruined my name.
I can't say it. I'm a Cuban from Miami. I was trying to get it out, and I can't say it. How do you say it?
Kikyo Nakamura.
Kikyo Nakamura. I am so sorry, and everyone was giving me so much junk about it. I was practicing all weekend, and I was trying to get it. I almost even called you before so I could say it right, and I do apologize.
Well, there's this interesting thing. It's called Google, and it has this nifty little speech feature on it. Or you can also research some stuff, but it's cool. I've dealt with that my entire career, so.
I'm sorry. So where's the origins of your name? Where did it come from?
Kikyo means bellflower in Japanese, and Nakamura is a Osaka Prefecture common last name.
Awesome. All right, and I do want to, I do apologize. I didn't mean to botch your name that way. I do apologize. And I want to thank you for taking time on a Sunday to join the show. It means a lot to me, so thank you. And I do have a couple topics to go over. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I know you've done a lot of different work for different promotions out there, just like Big Time Wrestling, Supreme Pro Wrestling, Vendetta Pro Wrestling, and others. And I just wanted to ask you and just kind of introduce the fans to who you are, how long you've been wrestling, and what has attracted you and and made you decide to become a business that we all have grown to love.
Well, I started training in March. It was my anniversary. I took a little bit of time off in 2011. I've been wrestling straight for the last 2.5 years. I wanted to be a wrestler since I was. No, go ahead.
I'm sorry, you're breaking up a little bit there. I'm sorry. I don't know if you would like to call back in. It's just breaking up a little bit. It's muting now. I'm sorry.
No, not a problem. Is it better now? Am I good?
Yeah. Yes, it is. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Okay, so but this month was my 5-year anniversary since I started training.
Oh, congrats! That's awesome.
Thank you. But I took some time off in 2011. Came back in December, so I've been wrestling consistently since December 2011. But wrestling was always something I've wanted to do. My grandparents were into it. My parents were into it, so it's something that I grew up watching. Little kids, as in elementary school, you had your little boys wanted to be race car drivers, or they wanted to be superheroes, and the little girls wanted to be princesses or veterinarians, and I was the weird kid who wanted to be a wrestler.
That's awesome, man. And in 2011, how come you took a break? I think you were telling us, but it broke up there. There
was some things that I had to take care of. I ended up going back to school, and I got a job and stuff like that. So it was just some personal issues that needed to be taken care of. I see what you mean. And then I know you have a day job. We were talking a little bit about it. How is it for you to juggle both your day job, as a normal, just working a 9 to 5, and try to balance that with training and performing these indie shows? Has that been difficult for you, or? No,
or
not
is
at all.
A part of the...
Yeah, it's part of the lifestyle until you're able to make a living off of ultimately the end goal for everyone who is in this business is to make a living off of what we want to do. This is something that we love, and of course everybody wants to make a living off of something that they want to do and that they love. But it can get difficult, especially when you have, your triple shot weekends where, you're tearing down and you're setting up and you're putting the ring in the truck, and, you have a show that you have to go to and you set everything up. You have your show, you're been up all day. You have to take down the ring again just to go set it up the next day at another show. And it can get tiring at times. There's times where you're up for 2 and 3 days at a time, depending on what you're doing. But it's all worth it in the end, because that ending product is you get to be in that ring. You get to do what you want to do. You're doing what you love.
And let me ask you that: what does your character mean to you? You're obviously a 9-to-5. You have a persona just like everybody else. Randy Orton, the leaders that have go out there and perform. What is your character based off? When you go out there, what are your goals when you interact with your fans that you're in the events?
It's most women that you see in wrestling, whether it be on WWE, TNA, or even the indie circuit, they're all, between the heights of 5'2" and 5'10", but they're all skinny. They're all wearing skimpy ass little clothes. It's bra and underwear. It's the models who were trained to wrestle. Myself, and there's a couple other girls out there here in California that are with me on this. It's not about going out there and showing off what you look like. It's about going out there and showing off what you can do. Awesome Kong she looks great. She's lost so much weight and she looks amazing. But she didn't go out there just because she was skinny. She went out there to dominate because she could. She wanted to show everybody that, it's not about what you look like. It's how you perform. Bull Nakano's another great one. Reggie Bennett's another great one. These people went out there and they dominated in the ring, and that's what I do. It's not about being a stick. It's stick over stick. I don't care what you look like, but if you're just going to stand there and prance around in your bra and underwear and you don't care about what you're doing in that ring, I will break you in half.
And I love that too, because and my comparison right now is I know you must know who Awesome Kong is. She was in TNA and WWE for a while. She's a bigger woman, but she wrestled and she brought a different aspect. Did you ever see her work in the ring with TNA or WWE? Awesome Kong?
Yeah. I watched her in TNA. I seen the small stint she had as Karma in WWE, and I watched her on Shimmer and all that stuff on the indie circuit. She's one of the better girls out there, and it makes girls like myself and Brittany Wonder and Ruby Ray's it makes us think that yes, you know what, it doesn't matter if we're not 115 pounds. We can go to those big companies and we can still make it.
And I felt like she was going to be able to make a big impact in the scene when she came in, and I felt like they dropped the ball. I don't know what happened. I obviously don't know the backstory. Do you think it had to do with her difference compared to the divas, that they didn't know what to do with her? I was excited. I think she's a badass in the ring, and I see some of your videos. I love your work. I think WWE has made it to where you have to be a bikini model to wrestle, and these girls don't even know how to wrestle. Do you think that's ever going to change, where they're going to actually have a division where women who know how to wrestle could go out there and perform? Or do you think they're going to have these cookie-cutter women come out there and they got to look a certain way? And it's sad to say that. I know Karma had a chance, and it's opened the doors for other women. Do you think there's a chance for WWE to change their mentality and actually show women that can actually perform in the squared circle?
Absolutely. I mean, they recently, over the last year, they brought in Sarah Del Rey as the trainer for the women. And if you have been paying attention to the girls, they've actually gotten a lot better. The Bella Twins, for example, yes, they're, dating John Cena and Bryan Danielson right now, but they have gotten so much better. You can see the progression and the growth that they had. If you've been watching NXT this past week, Charlotte Flair versus Natty Neidhart was one of the best matches that they've had. That it was ridiculous how well and how long they're actually letting these girls get to go. Normally when you watch a match on WWE, they get maybe 5 minutes, if that. They're giving these girls 8 to 10 to 15, depending on where they're at, in the show. And they're really giving them that chance. Paige, a.k.a. Brittany Knight, she's an amazing wrestler. And, her going one-on-one with Emma, those matches were really, really, really good. And now Paige is using Bull Nakano's old submission, which is the Scorpion Crosslock. You don't see girls doing that. You don't even see guys using that move. So these girls are getting better. They are progressing, and especially with the help of Sarah Del Rey and, Bill DeMott, of course, helping out with everybody like he has been for years. But it's starting to change, and I think with the WWE Network, it's definitely helped people see more of what these girls can do.
That's awesome. And I wanted to ask you a little bit. I know, a lot of people don't know how it is to be an indie wrestler and being in the indie scene. And I did, we talked a little bit earlier today. I wanted to shine light. There's a lot of good and a lot of struggling times for people in this business. What is the best thing about what you do, working as an independent wrestler, and what are some of those dark days? Like, I wanted to shine a little bit of light and open up the eyes, because some fans are oblivious to what it is to go to the indie market. And I know the promotions, they go on radio shows, and it's hard sometimes these days to sell out these events. How is that life? I mean, I know it's a special life to be a part of. I've gone to a lot of indie events. But to you personally, what does it mean to you to be performing out there and seeing some of the struggles that some of these performers have been going through in the past 5 years of your career?
It's different for everybody. For me to go out there, it doesn't matter if there's 2 people in the crowd or 2,000 people in the crowd. I go out there every single time and wrestle like it's WrestleMania. That's how you have to treat it, because even if there is 2 people in the crowd, those 2 people, if you put on a good show, they'll go tell 2 more people who will tell 2 more people, and it's word of mouth. But I mean, even if you're having a horrible day, you can go out there. Everything just goes away when you step through that curtain. My very first wrestling match ever, I was so nervous. I was so, scared to, what if I mess up? What if this happens? What if that happens? But once you step through that curtain, it goes away no matter what. There are people who still get nervous or whatnot, but for me, it all goes away. I automatically snap into the person that I know I can be. And it's such a different playing field in your head when you walk out and you see those people booing you or cheering you, and they want to shake your hand, or they want you to be the best that you can be, and you want to be the best for them because you want them to know that you want that for yourself. And if you can't show that you want that for yourself, why should they get behind you?
And then moving forward, I know I wanted to ask you this, is to see, is there a possibility that you would be able to go and try out for a TNA or come down to Orlando, Florida, and try to get into that Performance Center and kind of showcase your talents? Is that something that's in your mind? What are your future plans? Do you feel like it's going to expand from where you're at right now? Is that your ultimate goal?
Oh, of course. I mean, everyone has the ultimate goal. For me, if I get to WWE, if I get to TNA, that's freaking great. I would be honored to be with those kind of people. If that is somewhere I do want to be, because that's always everybody's ultimate goal, no matter what. I would love to be wrestling in Japan. Japan is another ginormous ultimate goal for me. You have to set small goals for yourself. You can't just automatically think, hey, I'm going to be right there. So for me right now, my small goal is I want to wrestle out of state this year. I need to get out of state. It doesn't matter if it's, surrounding states of Oregon, Nevada, Arizona, whatever, or if it's all the way on the East Coast in Florida, New York, Midwest, or whatever. I want to get out of state.
Yeah, that's awesome. And hopefully you get there. I mean, I'm definitely rooting for you. And I wanted to go into the next topic and talk a little bit about the Lita. She did have a recent interview, and I do understand she's one of the persons you looked up to as far as a diva, right, or as a performer. She's one of your proteges, right? Lita's one of those girls you saw, said, wow, she does amazing work. That's correct?
Yeah, of course. I mean, Lita, for me, the first ever match that I saw that really hit it home to where I want to be a pro wrestler was the Terry Invitational Tournament Finals between Edge and Christian and the Hardy Boys, which was the first ever tag team ladder match. And they had brought Lita in a while later after she debuted with Essa Rios. And with the whole aspect of Team Extreme, we saw Lita doing things that a lot of the women weren't doing. She was doing those moonsaults off the top rope. She was doing the Hurricane Ranas off the top of ladders and everything else like that. So for her to be as extreme as her teammates was something that I looked up to. I'm like, I want to do that. That's something that I want to be like. So to see her wrestling that way was amazing.
And on her recent interview, I'm not even sure, and I hate that I don't have the source. I'll get it later. But she said that, a generation is pretty much every 7 years. But she said that since her and Trish Stratus left, that still to this day, it's been about 7 years that the division hasn't recovered from the loss of both of them. Do you believe that that's true, that the division has still been struggling since they both left?
Before they got there, the division was struggling because it was, a lot of the bra and panties and evening gown matches, and they really weren't giving the women that as good as they should have been. And then when Trish and Lita and, they started giving Jacqueline more opportunities, started giving Ivory more opportunities, the women's division really rose into something that was, really something to be looked at. Some of them even rivaled the men, looking at China, with the Intercontinental Championship, with the Hardcore Championship and whatnot. After those original divas left, it really did hurt the divas division because it went back into the whole model aspect of, we're just here to look pretty. And everybody, when you saw the divas were going to be on TV, I need to go to the bathroom. I need to go get something to drink. It was a break. But you have people now that are really trying to bring that divas division back, like Natty Neidhart, and even AJ Lee is, from the indie scene. She was Miss April. With your second generation divas, like Natty and like Tamina, they're really trying their hardest to bring that back. And if they weren't trying, the Bella Twins wouldn't be getting better. Everybody would be trying to step up their game.
And I think that's why, when I read that, I was like, all right, yeah, maybe they missed a step, Lita. I understand that. But I feel like what you're saying now, right now, the division is at that turning point. I see the Bella Twins getting better. Even Ava Marie, where she wrestled the first match a few months ago on TV, and she looked really bad out there. But I feel like in the past couple of weeks she's been progressing, and I really feel like it's Sarah Del Rey, and I don't want to see pretty face. I enjoy the art of wrestling, so it's like, I'm a man, I enjoy seeing women wrestlers and all, but I like to see a good story being told. And that's what I want to see, and I want to see that performance. And I really do think that I tell my wife all the time, Natty's my favorite diva. She's like, what do you mean? She's got a stick figure. I'm like, exactly. She knows how to wrestle. She goes out there and performs, and it's awesome to see her in the ring. And I hope they continue to do that, and it looks like it. And I really hope you get your chance. I'm going to be one of your cheerleaders down here in Miami. And that being said, are you looking forward to the Divas match at Mania this year? Are you going to be looking at that on the WWE Network and trying to catch that match?
As far as I know, I'm guessing it's a battle royal for the women's title. So it's really not anything spectacular. So it's not like I'm not going to be watching WrestleMania, because anyone in the business should be watching it. This is the biggest show of the year. Doesn't matter if you love or hate the WWE, you should be watching it. But they never really give the women that shine anymore with the pay-per-views. But then again, they also haven't been as good as they are now. So I think within the next several months, they'll definitely start giving them more of that shine, especially with the Bella Twins getting better, with Tamina getting better, and AJ Lee with her, longest reigning Divas Championship. That's something to be looked at now.
And I have a question for you, just for fun. If you had your dream match at Mania, who would it be and why? They could be retired, not here anymore. Who would you love to wrestle at a WrestleMania as a main event? It could be The Rock if you wanted it. I'm just curious.
Oh, goodness. Oh, why didn't you tell me this sooner so I could think about that?
I was going to
rude.
do it. I was like, you know what? I'll put it on the spot. No, I didn't mean to. I'm sorry.
I mean, obviously everyone's got their list. One of the people I've always wanted to wrestle was Mischief, and I got the chance to do that at AWS last year, which was amazing. But
awesome.
I think that if I were to have a WrestleMania match, it would be me versus Bull Nakano. I think that would be epic.
That's awesome. All right, that's cool. And then I know you had a couple in the events that just happened, and I know you have a couple coming up. I wanted to let you know, have the listeners listen in and let them know what's coming up for you.
Recently, this past Friday, I was at Big Time Wrestling, which was the Honky Tonk Man's retirement show.
How was
wrestled. That? It was really good. It was something that I was really nervous about because when I first started going to independent wrestling shows, Big Time Wrestling was the first shows that I watched. They were also the first company that I started helping out with. I didn't get to go in the back or anything, but I was helping out with merch. We were taking, superstars out over to Starbucks if they needed to. And so to finally come full circle 10 years later and be wrestling for them was something that just blew my mind. And seeing some of the guys in the back, they're like, I remember when you were a little kid and you were here, helping us out and you were a fan and we were, signing autographs for you. And to see you now is crazy. So that was really special for me to be wrestling against one of the guys that I used to watch, because it was myself and his name was Sin, which was my tag team partner, versus Nicole Savoy and Le Emperor. And Le Emperor is someone that I, had been watching for the last 10 years. So to be wrestling against him now was just so surreal. But everything went well. We won our match, and even on a bum shoulder, I was perfectly happy with how everything went down.
That's awesome, man. What do you got coming up?
Let's see. Got coming up. Sorry, I have to look at my booking sheet here.
That's okay.
Well, this coming Friday, I'm going to be in Santa Maria for Vendetta Pro Wrestling. It'll be myself and Damian Grundy versus Clay Towser and Crazy Kiara Dillon. So that'll be definitely interesting to see what happens there. I've got my home company, Supreme Pro Wrestling. We have our 14-year anniversary coming up on the 27th, and this could possibly be Drake Younger's final match before he heads to the WWE. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, exactly. So this is something that everybody, I don't care where you're from, if you're from the East Coast, West Coast, North, South, West, I don't care. You guys need to come to the show. It's $10 to get in, April 27th in Sacramento, California. This is our WrestleMania, and we treat it as such, and it's something to be watched. And like I said, this could be the last time you get to see Drake Younger. And Drake is a phenomenal person. He's a phenomenal wrestler, and it's something that, he's put his heart and soul into right now. He just recently dropped the Supreme Pro Wrestling heavyweight title to Dexter St. Jacques, and then he's also having a tournament for the Extreme title that he just recently dropped as well. So this is something that Drake has been really putting his heart and soul into. And I also have the women's tournament number 4 coming up in May, on May 31st for Alternative Wrestling Show in Southgate, California. The promoter is bringing in Serena Deeb and Melissa Anderson, and he does this every year. This is the 4th year he's done it, and he brings in women from all over the country just to have a specific show for the girls. There's a tournament that happens that the winner gets to face the AWS Women's Champion at a future date. And right now that champion is Hassan Envy, who is someone everybody should be looking out for. This girl is good. She just recently beat out Christina Von Eerie, who was the reigning champion for AWS for the last 4 years.
Wow.
So,
that's awesome.
Exactly. And I know if you guys don't know who Christina Von Eerie is, she was on TNA as Toxine, if that rings a bell. But she's someone who has been all over the world. She's wrestled for Dragon Gate. She's wrestled for CZW. So she's someone I've looked up to being on the indie circuit because she's from my home company. She started at Supreme Pro Wrestling. So
that's awesome. And I want to thank you so much again for joining the show. Can you let everyone know where they can follow you on Twitter, Facebook, all your outlets? Get it out there. That way it could be out there.
You can find me on anything, honestly. I'm on Snapchat, I'm on Twitter, I'm on YouTube. I'm having a lot of fun with the Snapchat, so if you guys want to see me on Snapchat.
You got to be careful. One of my friends got in trouble with that, so be careful with that Snapchat. I think it's a little feisty. If you do it the wrong picture, you're done for.
Yeah, so don't let me find out, but I will hunt you down if you send me something wrong. But so you can find me on Snapchat. You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. I'm on Formspring, for Christ's sake. I mean, Formspring's dead now, but I'm still on it. So,
are you on MySpace too?
Yes, I'm still on MySpace.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, find her on MySpace, folks.
It's not under my wrestling name though. But I still have my original MySpace. But if you
your
search
original?
Kikyo Nakamura, yeah, if you search Kikyo Nakamura, just Google it. I'll pop up on pretty much everything.
All right, so it's Kikyo Nakamura. Did I get it right that time?
Yes, you did. So, but if
I felt like you were gonna kill me, and I was telling everybody from the beginning, she's gonna hate me for it. No. All right.
Yeah, but when you search Kikyo Nakamura, if it pops up as Karai Humei, that's the same person. It's just I recently changed some things. So if you come up with a girl who looks like she's gonna, eat your soul because her face is white and there's a kabuki makeup, it's still the same person.
Well, again, thank you so much for joining me on a Sunday. I know that's difficult sometimes, but thank you. I appreciate it, and I'll be getting back to you soon. Thank you so much. I hope you come back on the show in the future and kick some ass on your upcoming indie events, and thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me, and Oyasumi Nasai, which means good night. So I will talk to you guys later.
How is this? Sunimusai? I probably said it wrong.
Oyasumi Nasai.
Sunimusai. All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Have a great rest of your weekend. Thank you.
You too. Thanks a lot.
All right, folks, coming up, we got Blast from the Past. I hope you enjoyed the interview. Chris Dunphy's going to be on the other side of this, and I hope my audio man is ready. Bust out with that.
Bye.
And now, Wrestling365's Blast from the Past.
Anyway, we could keep this going on all night because there's just so many people. But I tell you what, anybody left that wants to come out here and say thank you to Ric Flair, come on out.
All right, it sounds a little choppy there, but this is the Blast from the Past where Ric Flair, the night after WrestleMania 24, and if, John, you could go ahead and cut that audio, it's kind of choppy over the airwaves. All right, so the Blast from the Past this week, and I feel bad for everybody because everything was so last minute. My computer got a virus, and excuses. I didn't have enough time to tell everybody what I wanted to do this show. But, Chris, we do Blast from the Past, and we kind of react to what happened. All right, so on March 30th of 2008, there was WrestleMania 24, and this was supposed to be, it was built up, and at the time I thought it was great, HBK versus the Nature Boy himself, Ric Flair, and it was set as his last match ever. And you got goosebumps, and then HBK is telling you, I love you, Flair, and I loved it, and I don't remember if you loved it, because I think you told me that it was not the best thing you wanted to see. Was that right, Chris, at the time?
Yeah, that was about 20 years too late. Like at WrestleMania 8, that would have been a great match, but not WrestleMania 24.
But you got to understand, I mean, this is to be the man, you got to beat the man. Woo, right? I mean,
well,
it's Ric Flair, man. I was happy for him.
All right, this is something I've been wanting to bring up for a while. That's really about booking.
Thank you, John, for that. All right, go ahead. What were you going to bring up, Chris?
It is, all right. Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair. They were both like 80 at the time. You got The Undertaker. The dude's got like, he wrestles once a year, and you're going to pit him against guys like Triple H and Shawn Michaels for 4 straight years. Why not use, well, you got these guys, same thing with Brock Lesnar fighting Triple H 5 times. I mean, if you look at it, like, you have these guys for limited dates and times. Why not use it to your advantage and help a new guy get over? Why couldn't some like top star like a CM Punk or somebody defeat Flair for his last match? Yeah, like why not have him beat Ric Flair? Like little things like that.
Well, think about it this way, Chris. If you were wrestling, and that's how I would take it that way too. But Ric Flair had been wrestling for 75 years at the time, right? Now I'm playing it, but it felt like it, right? So he went to his buddies Triple H and Vince McMahon and said, "My last match." You know, Ric Flair always gets emotional because of everything else he does. He always has been emotional. He went there and he started bawling and said, "I wanted to be against HBK." And after everything he's done for the business, and I'm Vince McMahon, I would do it.
Ric Flair's also the same guy who sits in these Legends of Wrestling round tables saying that you got to do what's right for business and blah, 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 and that's what's right for business.
No, I agree. All right, but
he pretty much says he has a responsibility to, you know, put over other guys. Like, that's their responsibility, is to help the business, not help themselves.
And I agree, you know. I mean, I agree to an extent. I mean, it was supposed to be his last match. Then he went to TNA and screwed it all up and wrestled a couple tag team matches or whatever. Yeah, well, look, he was trying to stay true to his word and help the other guys, right? And where is Jay Lethal? That poor bastard. I think he's on the indie market, not doing much. But for what it's worth, the match had the emotion of a WrestleMania match. Do you not say it did, or do you?
I agree.
You know what I mean? I feel like it had the emotion.
For 99% of wrestling fans, it was the greatest thing they'd ever seen. But for me,
you were the 1%?
Yeah, I was the 1%. But I mean, like, I liked it. I mean, it was a good story and everything and all that, blah blah blah. But I just wasn't a huge fan of it. I just couldn't care less. At that point in both of their careers, I had no desire to see them, especially to see them wrestle each other at that point in their careers. But I mean, everybody's got an opinion, so. Anyway, Al, I got a question for you.
Oh, what?
Like, it's time to put you on blast. Do you know?
No.
All right. The person you interviewed, who did she say she wanted her dream WrestleMania match against?
I don't know. I was too nervous, dude. When I get into an interview, you guys got to understand. I black out all the time. You guys say that I have great.
All right, it was Bull Nakano. Do you know who Bull Nakano is?
Who is Bull Nakano?
So you failed twice.
So do you know who Bull Nakano is?
Yeah, she was a woman wrestler. She fought Alundra Blaze for the WWE Women's title back at, I think, WrestleMania 9.
Are you on the old Googleator there?
No, I'm sitting right here looking at my phone.
You bastard.
Hey, Al, for the record, among other
what happened,
things,
John?
I said, for the record, among other things, Jay Lethal's actually in Ring of Honor right now.
Oh, okay. And by the way, you sound like you need to take a 3-day nap.
Sounds like Darth Vader.
You know, I got nothing. But you guys are doing a good job so far, and nice job with the interview.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it. Do you have that video up? Okay. All right, so let's shift gears, and I'm doing stuff. I don't even know you know what I'm doing here, Chris. But there's a little audio clip that came out, right?
Don't
Well,
feel
it
bad, Chris.
wasn't It's back in the day, they were supposed to do Mick Foley versus Dean Ambrose. We got an audio clip that was they were supposed to make it a little bit more reality and all that good stuff. Can you go ahead and play that clip, and then I want to get some reaction from Chris Dunphy and move forward. Go ahead. All right, it's going to probably be a second before it gets to Dean Ambrose, guys. So have a little patience with us. He's talking to a fan at a hotel back in 2000, and I'll tell you right now. Live radio.
Mick, you coming back? You coming back?
I hope not. Maybe to.
This is WrestleMania weekend.
Maybe for another Hall of Fame. New York.
New York. Hey, could be.
You know, I was thinking of a great. Could be. I was looking at Jericho, and I'm like, hey, this could be a great high spot. I never beat Jericho. Maybe I can come back. Oh, do you remember this? I do.
Hey, John.
Hey.
Dean Ambrose, let's get over this.
Nice to meet you.
This
was.
I didn't think you had to come over here and tell you something funny since you know that. I think you about killed me. You ruined a generation. You're responsible for a lot of what's wrong with it. You need to be accountable.
You know, I was in a building that was full of
all the 14-year-old kids ruin their lives.
Name one 14-year-old kid.
I got some on real quick and I made it, but a lot of my friends didn't. A lot of my friends didn't.
Your friends are what? Are they dead?
And you got off scot-free. You need to be held accountable. I don't care what you have to say. You're a criminal. You're a criminal, Mick. You're a liar. You're a criminal. I think you're
WrestleMania. If you have a problem with me,
I think
you bring it up somewhere else.
I don't care what you have to say. You're a liar.
Bring it up somewhere else. What's your name?
You need to be held accountable.
What is your name?
You need to be held accountable.
What is your name? What does accountable mean? What does accountable mean? You're a lost generation. You know, this is WrestleMania. There are families here. There are kids here. Get out of here, man. You got a problem with me? Accountable? What does accountable mean? You tell me what accountable means in your book.
All right, that's the audio clip. I know it's a little bit choppy. It's not the great clip, but it's Dean Ambrose for confronting Mick Foley back on WrestleMania weekend of 2012. And he kind of implies that he's doing some bad things. And if you see the video, I'm going to post it on my Twitter account. I mean, Dean Ambrose gets in his face. I mean, it was as real as it gets. And I don't know what he was implying about a 14-year-old what. And I think this was what they were going into. And they were planning on making a feud between Mick Foley and Dean Ambrose. And when I didn't even know about this. This was like new to me. All right, and have you heard about that? Did you ever hear about that, Chris? That they were going to have a feud back in the day?
Yeah, apparently what had happened, it had to do with Dean Ambrose saying that, like, he ruined a generation of wrestling fans with his style of wrestling, like making a fan base, like, hardcore hungry and wanting over-the-top stuff and not really being traditional wrestling fans who enjoyed the art of in-ring work and blah, blah, blah. And I guess apparently they were supposed to, take this, make it into a feud, and I believe Ambrose took it too far on, I want to say Twitter. I forget exactly what he said, but after that they just pretty much put a stop to it all before it escalated and went any farther. So that's all I can't remember exactly what it said. Maybe Ambrose said something about his family, about Foley's family.
That's what it was. That's what I heard.
Family, and then Ambrose was overseas before Foley was able to get back to him.
Yeah, apparently I guess Foley was sending Dean Ambrose text, and I guess as he was in the UK, he probably had Sprint. He didn't get the text until he got back into the States, but by then, Mick Foley had written an article, and he pulled away from the feud. I guess it got a little bit too real too fast. But, man, what would have happened if that would have gone through? Is that something that we would want to see back in the day? That would have been now we're 2000. That was 2 years ago, right? So
yeah,
I mean,
it would have been cool, but I really don't know how much it would have did for Dean Ambrose. I think his career is going to be a lot better going the route that he did with the Shield than it would have with if he did this thing with Mick Foley, it would have probably been that, and then he would have fizzled out shortly thereafter, like how they've screwed over Wade Barrett. Like, so I think he'd be in a position like that right now instead of being one of the top guys in the company as a part of the Shield. Speaking of the Shield, Al, I don't know if you've seen or read this. Did you see Roman Reigns' interview a few days ago that was going around online leading up to WrestleMania?
No, I did not. What was that about?
Their original plan for the Shield, when they came out to when they came out for Ryback that night, apparently they were supposed to come. You know how they wear those suits and all that stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen the SWAT team? How they have them shields and them riot shields?
Oh yeah. I've seen it live a couple times in Miami.
Yeah, so they were supposed to come out with that, with them riot shields and all that shit. And I guess it was the Shield's call. They told Vince, hell no, we ain't taking these damn things out here. Yeah. So thank God that they decided to ditch the Shields at the last minute, or else they would have been laughed. Apparently they said the Shield on them and all this stuff, and they were like, Vince, we don't want them to know who the hell we are. We're gonna look like idiots with these things. So I guess they just left them backstage and came out.
That is fun. I would have left it even if Vince would have said something, because it would have been a joke. You know what I mean? It would have gone a little bit too far with the. I can imagine with those clear glasses. It's kind of like Call of Duty where. I do play Call of Duty, guys. I'm a big nerd over here in Miami, Florida. All right, so yeah, maybe it was a blessing in disguise that we didn't have Mick Foley versus Dean Ambrose, because maybe the Shield wouldn't have happened. I just felt like, man, it would be cool if they did something like that where they used an event like that, and out of nowhere, a guy you don't know comes out. Like, let's say it's John Cena, or just a top guy, right? And you really haven't seen this guy. He's an NXT star, and there's a camera on John Cena or whoever it is at the time, and going off on him. And then they make it into it makes it more real. You know, we always talk about when the NWO came out, they tried to play off that the WWF was invading WCW, and it seemed real because everyone was showing up every other night. So it would have been kind of cool if they could kind of do that going into the future. Yeah. And they've done it. You know, they've been using social media for storylines now. So who knows? Maybe they could use a little bit of YouTube, make it a little bit more realistic. And I wanted. I know we touched on this on the previous show, but I didn't talk to Chris about it. I wanted to get his idea. I don't know if you've heard about it, but the possibility of a new faction coming into play with Zack Ryder, The Miz, and Dolph Ziggler. Have you heard about that, Chris, at all?
Yeah, I heard a little bit about it.
What do you feel about it?
I mean, I don't know how I feel about it. The Miz, ever since he got rid of the faux Hulk, I'll lead that to the demise of his career. Since he stopped using a faux Hulk and started parting his hair like Richie Rich, he's just, careers went down the drain. Ziggler, they've just ultimately screwed him over. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. He's just been completely robbed. Zack Ryder, it seemed like every time they were starting to give him the opportunity, he was doing great. Then all of a sudden he got squashed by Kane and hasn't been seen since. And that was 3 years ago. So I mean,
and yet he's still in the contract.
yeah, exactly. And then he was pissed off because the Z True Long Island Story was the most successful online thing WWE had, and then they took it away from him pretty much and started writing the show for him and making him do what they wanted him to do. And,
did you see his new show though, the Last Resort?
I haven't watched it yet.
Let me tell you, you need to watch it because he's doing some of his best stuff out there. And I don't know if it was David Hero or even maybe Mick Foley, somebody on Facebook. And I hate that I always forget everything, guys. I'm sorry about that. And we could get into that a little later with my Bob Marley music, hopefully on cue soon. But they said that it's some of Zack Ryder's best work. Did you see a couple of weeks ago on Monday Night Raw when The Miz kind of walked out, got the headset on, was like, can you believe this crap? And then he walked back out. It was like a match. Did you see that? at all?
I just can't, like I said, it's just one weird little thing, but I just can't take Miz seriously anymore with that hair, though. Like, I don't know.
It looks weird. It's because of the Marine, right? No.
Yeah, he looks like a dick. Like, there's no like, I don't know. It's just,
he didn't look like a dick with the photo.
And he was the worst face. He was such a good heel, and he was so bad as a face. He was like, he was almost as bad as Sheamus on the mic, except he could actually deliver his lines. Unlike Sheamus, who you don't know what the hell he's saying half the time. And if he does, it's usually something corny and stupid and wish you hadn't have heard what he said. And, like, he was just so, like, he was just a douche. Like, there was no other way around it. Like, he was just, like, a huge douche as a face. Unsuccessful, and I just don't know. Did you see that thing where they had Michael Strahan on Monday Night Raw? And they did that angle, and then he took a bow with them afterwards.
Yeah, it was bad.
Like, what the hell is that? Like,
that was bad. It reminded me, I feel like that's like old Vince McMahon booking and stuff for some reason. Like, oh, that sounds good.
Yeah, dude.
All right.
Let's have Michael Strahan hit off the Miz, and then they can bow afterwards, but they were just joking around. Like.
And you guys got to understand, I know we've hit some of these topics before, but I'm reunited with Chris Dunphy, right? So I need to get some of his feelings. So this is my next question for you. And this is something that son of a bitch. All right, I set myself up for that. I'm sorry. Jesus Christ. All right, so I've been telling a bunch of the guys I did on social media, on Twitter, our Skype chat room with all the bosses, right? I cannot stand. It's not that I don't like. There's things that I understand you're doing as a heel, and there's things that you're doing to get the fans pissed off. But what is this crap already with Bad News Barrett? What do you feel about that crap? It reminds me of the what was the general manager that nobody knew, the invisible guy on a laptop. I hated that guy. No, are you kidding me? What do you think about the Bad News Bears segments? I wanted to get your take on it, Chris, before we continue on with the show.
I honestly really don't know, because that's usually when the DVR gets put on fast forward, when that little podium comes out. So I just think maybe it would work a little bit if he actually wrestled. I don't think he's wrestled since like August or September last year.
Or somebody come and confront him for the guy. Like, they're not doing more of the storyline. He comes out there, talk shit, and nobody comes out and confronts him about it. It's like, dude, all right, it's over with. At least start a feud with this guy. Somebody come out and confront the guy. Or did it happen already?
He would have been a lot more over had they gone through with their original plan for the Monday Night Raw in Chicago, because apparently they were supposed to have Bad News Barrett on that Monday Night Raw in Chicago come out and say, I got bad news for you, but CM Punk ain't here, which that would have been mega heat, and it would have worked, but that made too much sense, so they didn't use that in the final draft.
You know what? I'm going to tell you this. I wanted to see them both happen at the same time. I think Paul Heyman capitalized on it, and he cut an awesome promo that night, considering what was going on, but it's already forgotten. So maybe now seeing back, it would have been great for him to say that, and something could have come out of it, but at the time, I was like, damn, this is an awesome promo Paul Heyman is cutting, but now it's an afterthought. I don't even think they use it anymore. All right, I just wanted to kind of get your go ahead.
Well, see, to me, with Wade Barrett, I think his potential is a really good upper mid-card competitor, but I don't really, like, a lot of people viewed him, like, especially some of the people we used to work with on the websites, thought that he was, like, the next mega star and face of the company type guy. I never seen Wade Barrett like that. I've seen Wade Barrett like maybe like a Razor Ramon is his, like, peak. Like a guy like that that's just a real strong upper mid-card talent, but isn't if you understand what I'm saying. Like, I've never seen Barrett as, like, a guy that's going to, like, lead the company into the future. I've seen him as a pretty good upper mid-card talent, maybe occasional main event, but I thought that was his full peak and potential. So, I mean, this right here, at least he's getting on TV unlike some people, so.
I just want to kind of see him. It's a cool idea, but like
paycheck for giving people bad news every Monday night.
I'll do it too. Or I could be like
exactly.
or like Matt Flynn, Matt Flynn, the quarterback. You know, he's been making millions not playing football. Apparently, that doesn't make sense.
Hey, guys, you got a caller.
I'm sorry.
We got a caller.
All right. Let me go ahead and put them on air. Let's see who it is. 262, you're on the air.
What's up? This is Bernie of BSB fan page.
How's it going? Thanks for calling in. You got any input?
No problem. I just called because I'm a fan of one of your guests. Not sure whether she's still on or not.
Oh, she was on a little bit earlier today, about an hour ago. But I thank you for calling in. You had any other input?
I still have something to talk about. I still have something I want to add to the discussion, though.
Okay.
All right. Well, as you're talking about guys who they're not really using, I don't know if they came up already, but there are only 3 of the true jobbers that I feel WWE is not really using at all there. Those guys being JTG, Kurt Hawkins, and Yoshitatsu. 3 guys they're losing the few times they're on Raw or SmackDown. They're losing the few times they're on NXT, and I don't know why they're still employed at this point. What do you all think of them?
I can't believe JTG is still employed. I haven't heard that name in so long. But Chris, take it. And what was your name, caller? I'm sorry.
My name is Bernie.
Bernie fan page. All right, Bernie. Thank you, Chris. Go ahead.
Well, the way I look at it, a guy like Kurt Hawkins, I never really seen much in him outside of, a tag team guy or a jobber. JTG, ever since Shad Gaspard departed and Crime Time split up, there's nothing really you can do with JTG. The only guy on there that really I could see maybe getting something out of is Yoshitatsu, but they pretty much murdered his character on ECW, and I mean, he's a good in-ring talent, but he doesn't seem to have the personality or character. And, I mean, why fire 3 guys who job on NXT and Superstars for the fact that if you fire them, then who's going to be the ones to job? So, might as well look at that guys who don't matter.
Well, here's got Damien Sandow now as a jobber, which is really unfortunate now.
Yeah,
Damien Sandow, that is sad, yeah.
Like, if you get rid of some of these jobbers that are already jobbers, then you're going to have more people like Damien Sandow that are going to have to do these jobs. And it's just, Damien Sandow's definitely got the shaft here lately.
And Drew, what happened to Drew McIntyre? That was supposed to be Vince McMahon's golden boy. What the hell happened there? That was
nice 3MB, which is the modern-day Job Squad.
Or even, I feel like they're below the Job Squad at this point.
At least the Job Squad was entertaining.
And at least I think Gilbert had one little title.
Yeah, right. Remember that little fake title that Gilbert had? That was great.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Bernie, thanks for calling in. I hope you enjoy the show, and I hope you call in next week. I appreciate it. Thanks.
No problem. Let's go.
All right, take care, Bernie. What was it, Bernie's fan page?
It's the fan page. You can find me on Facebook at BS. Type in BSB Wrestler on Facebook, or follow me on Twitter at /Bernie87.
All right, sounds good. All right, I appreciate you calling in. Thank you so much.
No problem.
All right, guys, that was Bernie. Thanks for calling in. And again, if you want to call in, it's 347-327-9577. That's the guest or fan calling line. All right, let's go ahead and shift gears. John, I hope you got that music ready for me because I want to discuss this with Chris Duffy. And you know what I'm talking about.
Too early.
Here's hoping this one actually plays.
It's been difficult tonight.
Now, wait a minute, I thought the Macho Toga, Macho Man with those Vestal Virgins, pure of body and pure of thought.
Number 9.
accompanied by his manager, Bobby the Brain Heenan. He hails from Grenoble in the French Alps. He weighs 520 pounds. Andre the Giant. There he comes. He's running.
You know, I think that's a mistake. He should be conserving his strength right here. He's facing the challenge of his life, Gorilla. Well, you may have a point there, Jesse.
All right, I guess that. Oh, there you go.
Be happy. In every life we have some trouble. But when you worry, you make it double. Don't worry. Be happy. Don't worry. Be happy now. Don't worry. Be happy.
Damn!
For this whole segment.
So, why did we go
right,
from Macho Man to Andre the Giant to Bob Marley?
Well, that's what happens when you feel a little bit of happiness when you're smoking a little bit of the ganja. All right, you get a little bit confused, and right now,
John, that's what I'm doing. But I mean,
that's
when
what
you
I'm
say
saying.
play
No,
the
I'm
clip
not
and
saying.
you asked me, it was the last one you asked me about. How am I supposed to know that's the one you meant?
John, I understand that. I know you haven't slept in like 25 hours. So I wanted to talk about this with Christopher Dumpy about, the NFL is possibly going to allow the use of medical marijuana. And I wanted to kind of that's right, folks. We got to I'm not going to be like all these other news shows, wrestling website shows that talk about what's going to happen between Dean Ambrose versus blah, 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 and John Cena, and I want to know what the results are. Who cares about that? I want to get some topics in here. So I want you to tell me, Chris, what do you think? I mean, I know the NFL has the possibility of using medical marijuana. I know how great it could be for people that are sick, have cancer, just like Jim Kelly of the old Buffalo Bills, and the Giants, or whatever. I'm getting them confused right now, probably. But what do you think about it? What do you think about the use of marijuana? And you think that pro wrestlers are going to be allowed to use it, seeing how many bumps and bruises that they take? I know Randy Orton and Jack Swagger are, and I even think Rey Mysterio have failed drug tests when it comes to the use of marijuana.
I mean, to me, if you need to use medical marijuana, you probably are in a state of where you're unable to compete inside of a ring or on a football field. Because most of the people that do, from what I know, that do use medical marijuana is because of cancer and other things like that. And I really doubt somebody that's got cancer is going to be wrestling inside the squared circle or out on the gridiron playing football. So I really don't see the connection on how that's going to work. But I guarantee Rob Van Dam will be the first one to try.
Well, yeah, not only RVD, Jensen. Well, that's why Rob Van Dam got his contract how it is. He doesn't need a drug test. He's a contractor. So he could do whatever the hell he wants when he wants, and he'll do it all the time. The thing is that I've been, and I guess, you guys know a little bit about Mr. Alfonso Miramon. He had a past of doing bad things, and I know a lot about this subject. Yes,
one of the Miami Police Department is locating Al's apartment now for that.
They know where I'm at. They already found me last year. It's sad, guys, but it's true. I'll give you the link if you have to. Anyways, it's great for cancer and all that, but when you're out there grinding and busting your ass and you're sore, and I mean, I did it when I played football in high school. An aspirin, an Advil, and Percocet, there's a point that doesn't work anymore. But when you just take a couple puffs of the don't worry, don't be happy juice, it really takes everything away. And I feel like we're the only country that doesn't see that, and they see it as a gateway drug. I mean, I don't understand that because alcohol kills more people than anything else, and I feel like if it's something that would help them, why not use it? And I feel like you don't need to be written to a wheelchair or your deathbed to have to use marijuana because, I understand with cancer it helps out a lot, but there's guys out there that, like a Rey Mysterio, this poor guy is injured all the time. Randy Orton, he gets screwed up. And he has smoked pot, got caught, Jack Swagger as well. Do you think at any point that Vince McMahon and everybody else would say, okay, instead of drinking your pain away, because that's what Ric Flair is doing right now, since his son died, and God bless his soul, he got really bad back on the wagon, and he's been doing really bad. But you think that this just will be something that in the future, with all these states going illegal, that there's a possibility of it becoming, okay to use it in the wrestling business?
I think you're going to have a hell of a lot more states make this legalized. If you look at it, though, Vince is not going to want his superstars. Like, we'll use John Cena, for example. John Cena shows up at the Nickelodeon, Slime Awards to give away an award, and he's blitzed out of his mind from getting high from medical marijuana. Or let's say they're on Regis and Kelly or anything like that. These guys really don't have the time to be sitting around smoking weed and getting high anyway, especially as top stars when they're on the road traveling. I don't think you want those performers in the ring high off their ass performing. I don't think he wants them going out making public appearances, and it makes people lazier and unmotivated about going to the gym and everything else. I mean, if you really look at what a pro wrestler does every single day, especially the top superstars in the company, what they have to do every single day, I really don't see how marijuana really has a place in their lives between, working out, staying in shape, making public appearances, traveling, training, and performing every single day to get better, especially for top guys. Like I said, I mean, it's just, I don't see where everything will fit.
Well, here's the thing. For all of wrestling, people have been using all different types of stuff. People could handle it. People can't. So you're telling me it's okay for a superstar or any public figure to sit down and have a drink at a bar or have a couple of drinks one night, but they can't go to a freaking hookah bar or whatever it is, a weed bar in Denver, Colorado, and take a couple puffs one night on the day off? Why not? I mean, if they're home or if they're in their bus, like Big Show has his own bus, Triple H, I mean, he's got kids.
I mean, if you want to do it every once in a while,
but I'm not
sure,
saying Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Habitual, like if they become habitual users, I mean, yeah, anybody should be able to go do whatever they want every once in a while, but it's kind of hard. Like if they test somebody, you know what I mean? Like you can't tell the difference of whether they smoke once a month or every day that month. You know what I mean? It just depends.
I mean, I feel like you're saying that they're gonna come out high to the wrestling ring. I mean, he doesn't come out drunk to the ring. The last time I saw that, I think it was Jake the Snake Robert that was really, or even Scott Hall Nitro years ago. I think they had the discipline to understand that you can't be drunk at events. But I mean, dude, it's your night off, you know.
There's a big difference between getting drunk and getting high. You see people get high all the time and go out and drive cars and everything else. You see people getting drunk and they can't drive, they can't do shit, is what I'm saying. Like, you can, plenty of people smoke weed and still go out and do things every day, and people don't even notice that they're high sometimes unless you really know who they are, which is even more dangerous than somebody that's drunk who you know is drunk.
I was just saying that, all right, so if I could smoke weed and wrestle like Rob Van Dam does, I'll do it, bro. Because this guy is still, he looks the same as he did 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 18, 15 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's a possibility that is closer than everyone thinks. And I feel like it does more than just an Advil. It really, with the stresses of traveling these guys do, I could see it happening. Maybe we'll take a couple more states. I mean, I'll ask you this, Chris. Would you prefer them to be drinking on their nights off or take 1 or 2, 3, 4 puffs on the night and relax. As an owner
well,
of a company.
Me, I'd rather drink. I personally hate the green stuff. I hate it.
But I'm asking you, as if you're the owner of wrestling, the only thing difference is that marijuana is illegal in a lot of states, 48 of them now, or 40. I don't even know how many it is, and alcohol isn't. If it was flipped over, would you ban alcohol and allow weed, or vice versa? What would you do? If you were Vince McMahon, would you?
I mean, honestly, I think what they're doing right now is working the best. Honestly, I don't think they should change anything up of what they're currently doing. Maybe down the road, if more things change in more states and different things like that, but as of right now, I think everything works fine the way it is, and they should stick with it for now.
All right, sounds good. I wanted to just get your take on that. We have about 20 minutes left here on the show. And I wanted to go into a different and at the beginning of this audio clip, we had a top 10 entrances of WrestleMania. It went from Macho Man, The Undertaker, Shawn Michaels zip lining down into the ring. What, just for you, I don't want to say a top 10, but what is your all-time, and the other one was John Cena. When there was 100 John Cenas, I almost freaked out. Remember that one? There was 100 John Cenas. Yeah, that was not right. I was freaking out. I already see him everywhere. I didn't want to see that many of them at the same time. What is your most memorable WrestleMania entrance?
I always liked Rey Mysterio's entrances, specifically for his costumes, how he would always dress up like a superhero, meaning he did the Joker, Captain America,
The Joker was
Avatar.
off the chain.
Yeah,
Avatar,
even though it only lasted for 10 seconds, because I believe that was the year he beat JBL for the IC title in like 5 seconds.
And then that's when he quit. JBL quit right after. We didn't see him for a long time. He went to Fox News, and then he's back again. Yep.
Then you had, can't go wrong with Ultimate Warrior's entrance ever at any WrestleMania. Just electric. The John Cena with the gangster cars. That was cool.
Yep.
The best, one of my favorites ever was The Undertaker during his first match with Triple H when he came out to the Johnny Cash in the background.
Yeah.
That was epic
that was
with the chain. What
Mm-hmm.
the hell is the name of it? I can't think of the name of that song. But that Ain't No Grave Gonna Hold My Body Down or whatever it was. With the chains and the wind in the background. Like, dude, that was... I had goosebumps watching that entrance. That was one of the best. Cena's are usually good every year. I loved the video packages they did for The Miz and John Cena prior to their main event. With The Miz, where they had the Nas in the background showing him coming from the real world and coming up through the ranks. And then they did the DMX prayer and the choir and all that stuff for Cena. I thought that was pretty cool that year. Have you
How about
seen
HBK? HBK had a couple of good ones, too.
Oh, yeah, definitely. HBK did. I'm trying to think.
What about his year when the first match against The Undertaker, when they kind of had, like, the opposite entrances or Shawn Michaels coming from above and The Undertaker coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like Anti-Undertaker and The Undertaker.
Yeah, I thought that was cool because it was like he came out and
he came from heaven and Taker came from hell.
Yeah, it was awesome. I thought that was a cool get-up they did there. I'll never forget that entrance. And honestly, one that stood out to me was Andre the Giant with Bobby the Heenan. I thought it was cool how they came out in that little ring thing. It was like a smaller ring version that were going out there. That was pretty modern for the time, you know? That was pretty cool.
Wow, you do realize they all did.
I know they did, but they were showing it as Andre the Giant. Because, you know, nobody's like Andre the Giant, though. This guy, I didn't even know how they got him on that thing, and the thing was moving. It was impressive. He defeated science that night. That the thing was going to fall over.
Pretty much that was designed specifically for Andre the Giant because they already thought it was a far walk to the ring for a lot of the people. And then they really were like, yeah, Andre's not going to be able to walk his ass all the way down there to that ring. So those were made with Andre the Giant in mind for that long, lengthy walk they had to make.
That I didn't know. That's news to me.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That's why you watch that WWE Network, Al.
Hey, man, it's overwhelming. Sometimes I'll do a print screen. I'm like, what am I going to watch next?
Sometimes you do a print screen. It's like every day you post more print screens than you do anything else.
Hey, at least I'm trying to do something.
Well, I've watched every Legends of Wrestling Roundtable on there, every WWE Countdown, and every WrestleMania Rewind so far. I just went back and watched the Elimination Chamber, I believe, on Saturday. And, man, that Wyatt family versus Shield match, the crowd was so electric. Oh, my goodness.
It's sad when those crowds are stronger than TNA crowds. When you look at NXT, just the production alone is amazing. And this is a great segue into the next topic. And my next topic is pay-per-views versus the WWE Network. And this is another Evan Ginsberg shout-out. But I kind of wanted to talk about, man, you know, it's a huge difference right now. We got the network, and Vince McMahon is a pioneer. I mean, he pioneered pay-per-views. And now it looks like he's doing the same thing. This is going to be his last thing that he touches going into the future. I mean, he's already up there, you know. Not that up there, but I don't know what he's going to – he's got to retire eventually, right? Right now, if you have the WWE –
he's in this until he's in a box. I guarantee it. I promise.
Like Mae Young. Like Mae Young,
yeah,
right? Because Mae Young was there whenever she could be there.
Yeah. There's no retiring. He's going to be there until they take him, until he's done for. He'll be in the nursing home still running that thing. I guarantee it.
All right, so let me set this up, Chris. You know, and I got a lot of, you know, tidbits to point out, then we'll react to it, right? So we got Vince McMahon. He recently, this year alone, his net worth hit over $1 billion again. He was featured on Forbes magazine. Right. What I was talking to Evan Ginsberg about, and I wanted to shine light on it because it's a good topic. The WWE pay-per-view, if you go to Comcast and you want to go ahead and purchase the pay-per-view, it is $59.99, $60 to purchase WrestleMania. You have the network. Not only do you get the network, you get everything. You get WCW. You get stuff you never even heard of. Right. You get matches from back in the day. You get recent products, there's legends, there's a bunch of stuff, and there's new reality shows coming out. Then you get the pay-per-views also for $9.99. Now, here's my thing. What happens to the wrestlers that are wrestling these pay-per-views? Because not only do wrestlers have a set contract where they get a weekly whatever, a base salary, right? It's like in sales. I'm making $750 a week, but if I'm the draw and I'm selling merchandise and I'm the main event at Mania, I get a certain percentage of that pay-per-view, and that includes pay-per-view buys, which are more expensive than the WWE Network is. So as it is good for you and I, the consumer, to get WWE Network, how does it affect, like, our Rey Mysterios, our John Cena's? They must be getting a huge pay cut from this because, dude, $9.99 a month, if you're getting 2 million people, it's not going to compare to 2 million people watching at $60 a month, even if there is a middleman. So have you ever thought about that? Like, how can they think about like, where that money is gone? Is, you know what I mean? Go ahead.
Well, from what I've seen, last year in 2013, I believe it was 16% of WWE's revenue came from pay-per-view buys. But apparently, from what I've heard from my sources and everything, is that Vince McMahon has a model in mind about how he's going to, you know, pay these superstars and all this stuff. Like, as far as the pay-per-view bonuses goes, he already has a model, an idea he's been working on, and he's supposed to be having a conference, like a meeting with everybody to discuss it and talk to all the superstars and let them know exactly what he's going to do about it. Apparently he has a plan in mind that he's already been thinking about working on, so we just got to wait and figure that out. But I think more than anything, instead of affecting stars like Rey Mysterio and John Cena, I think it would affect more of the part-time guys who are only there usually for this pay-per-view buyouts, like a guy like Brock Lesnar or a guy like The Undertaker or The Rock, who only come in for these pay-per-view shows anyway and get that and collect that big bonus that they get from those pay-per-view buys. I see it affecting them way more than it would a John Cena or a Rey Mysterio.
I mean, and
I don't know
so the structure. Go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Go.
No. Go ahead. I want to hear what you...
I don't know if it would affect Brock Lesnar so much. I mean, he's still getting I think a downside of at least in the 9 figures. So I don't know how much it would really affect him all that much. But I mean, if you look at it, you get 250 people a month, or 250,000 people a month, $10 a month. It's $2.5 million a month that they're getting in revenue for the network that they don't have to split with pay-per-view companies, cable companies, and everything else.
I'm not saying Brock Lesnar's not going to get paid and get his money. I'm just saying it'll affect those guys more as far as what they're making with their actual, like, the pay-per-view buys, because I know that a lot of that goes towards, I mean, they're still going to get paid regardless. I'm just saying as far as the pay-per-view buyouts, the pay-per-view bonuses, I'd say, would affect, guys like Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker who, make a living off of just working those pay-per-views. I mean, they're still going to get paid and get their money. It's just going to be more interesting how they divvy that up amongst the part-timers and the full-time guys that was WWE's network.
So I guess if I use my real-life experience, I worked at Carnival Cruise Lines, and I was a salesperson. They changed the pay structure because the company wanted to make more money, but they said if you made more sales, you could break even, and then there was a point to where you would even make more money. So you're telling me that kind of Vince McMahon is probably doing the same thing where, okay, this is not only a change on how we're teaching our viewers to watch our product, but it's going to be a change in your pay structure. So now if you want to make more money or the same, this is how you're going to have to do it. Because now technology has evolved, and now we've got to move forward. And I know you guys might be upset now, and you might take a hit, but I promise you, you're going to get this amount of money or X dollars if you do this, that, and the other. Is that what you're implying, Chris, that that's probably what is taking place right now? Chris?
Well, hold on. What was that? My phone's messing up.
Oh, man, there's no way I can repeat that.
I don't know if it's through my phone or Blog Talk Radio, but it's like getting real choppy.
I was just saying that, when I worked at Carnival, they restructured the pay scale when I was doing sales, right? So when I worked at Carnival Cruise Lines, I there was a pay scale, but they restructured it because the corporate wanted to make more money. So you're saying kind of like Vince McMahon right now, the way things are going, that he understands that technology has evolved, and he had a meeting with the stars and saying, look, don't be upset now, but, we're going to change things a little because we got to evolve with technology.
Yeah,
and eventually there's a way for you to make your money back.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if that meeting's already taken place or anything, but as far as I know, he already has a plan and model in place as far as how this is all going to work out, and is supposed to be, if he hasn't already explained it to the superstars, he's going to be very soon. From what I heard, like I said, I mean, he had a plan in mind. It's Vince McMahon. He's smarter than a lot of us give credit for, especially the internet wrestling community. I mean, he knows what he's doing. He's got he wouldn't go in, he wouldn't risk and go through all this if he didn't have exactly everything planned out in mind for how he's gonna reimburse his superstars and just everything. Like he wouldn't go into this and all this stuff if he didn't have a clear plan in mind. So.
No, and definitely, I've always told my wife and family, I've always respected him as like a businessman. I was like, I look up to what he's done to wrestling, and I mean, he brought WWF. That's 4 W's, 3 W's, or whatever, and made it to what it is now. I know we're wrapping things up here, Chris. Did you enjoy yourself? We were reunited again. How was it?
It was all right. I mean, maybe next week we can, do a little bit better, but I had a good time. I thought we did well.
Oh, you bet. Jesus.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was a little slacking on that. I meant to do it right after he said the word reunited.
All right. But, yeah, I mean, I had a great time. It's been over 3 years. Thanks for coming in and doing the show with us tonight. I really appreciate it. Hopefully we could do it again and get you on here. And I know you're going to have that Bleacher Report soon, that Luke Harper article, which I've done a pre-screen on, and it's freaking awesome so far. So I can't wait for you to get that up there, and hopefully on Yahoo.
Yeah.
So, all right, we're going to have WrestleMania this week, guys. Thank you, Chris. I know there's still 5 minutes, but we have a couple things that we got to clear up. Next week, we're going to have the likes of David Hero. We're going to have Ernest the Cat Miller on the show. We're going to have Diamond Dallas Page, and we're going to have the first reaction to him from when he inducted Jake the Snake Roberts on the Hall of Fame. So I hope you guys enjoy it.
Well, what time is this show next weekend?
Next, it's going to be regular hours. So I'm kind of in order for us to get DDP on air live, we're going to do a regular show. If anything, it might be from 5:30 to 7:30, and that's what I'm hoping for because we have him on at 6. So
well,
I would love to have you on.
I'm pretty sure the pay-per-view starting at 7 o'clock, and then there's a 2-hour pre-show on WWE Network. So
it might be a 5 to 7 show.
We might have to
things have been crazy. Yeah, things have been crazy lately here with work and everything, and I got to get a couple production meetings in. But all I know is at 6 p.m. Eastern time next week, and Diamond Dallas Page will be on the show, and we'll have some great guests, and it's going to be jam-packed. And John, I know you know more about what's going on next week. Do you have any input?
Well, we were talking about doing a week of shows. I kind of talked to you about that the other day. I didn't think that, or, the more I thought about it, didn't think it would be the best option. Probably what we're going to do is do a weekend, do Thursday night, a Friday morning show, Saturday night, do a show going into the Hall of Fame, and then Sunday, like you said, 5 to 7 for WrestleMania, and then do a Monday show talking about WrestleMania, the Hall of Fame, and previewing the post-Mania Raw, which is always one of the best Raws of the year. And we got, when we're getting David Hero this weekend?
I'm going to reconfirm with him, and hopefully it's either Thursday or Friday. I got to reconfirm with Ernest. They will be on the show. I just don't know when it's going to lay out. Stay tuned. We got social media, wrestling-news.net. That's going to post out a press release or two, and we'll have everything down packed hopefully by tomorrow evening. And I thank you all for listening. Thank you for the caller, and thank you for Chris joining us. And let's go ahead and wrap things up. We'll be live throughout the week starting on Thursday. And be ready, and we're going to have a great week of WrestleMania Radio. Thanks again, Chris.
No problem. Later, guys.
Later, guys.
Who's that? Ernest the Cat Miller. Somebody call my mom. Ernest the Cat Miller coming to Wrestling365 WrestleMania week. Stay tuned for more information. Coming to Wrestling365 WrestleMania weekend is the founder and promoter of Great Lakes Championship Wrestling and co-host of the Pro Wrestling Report, David Hero. Don't miss his unique insight on the 30th anniversary of WrestleMania, the WWE Hall of Fame, and more. Stay tuned to Wrestling365 and follow at Al365 Network and 365 Sports Network on Twitter for more details.
Yo, it's me, it's DDP. Self-high-five.
Bang! Coming Sunday, April 6th to Wrestling365 is WCW legend Diamond Dallas Page. Join us during our WrestleMania special, April 6th, 5 to 7 p.m., as we'll have DDP on air with us live backstage from WrestleMania 30. Don't miss Wrestling365's weekend of coverage all weekend long. For more information, follow 365 Sport Network and Al365 Network on Twitter. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We hope you enjoyed tonight's show. If you missed a part or all the show, or want to listen to an old show, head on over to 365sportsnetwork.com or blogtalkradio.com/365network. So for the whole crew here at Wrestling365, I'm John Curry. Have a good night, and we'll see you back here next week, 6 to 8 p.m. Have a good one, everybody.
Yeah.